U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Saturday chose Brooke Rollins, president of the America First Policy Institute, to be Secretary of Agriculture. In a statement, Trump said Rollins would, quote, spearhead the effort to protect American farmers who are truly the backbone of our country. If confirmed by the Senate, Rollins would lead a 100,000-person agency with offices in every county in the country, whose tasks range from forestry to food safety and beyond. As such, her agenda would carry implications for American diets and wallets. Department of Agriculture officials and staff negotiate trade deals, guide dietary recommendations, fight wildfires, and support rural broadband, among other activities. Rollins would also advise the administration on how and whether to implement clean fuel tax credits for biofuels and guide next year's renegotiation of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal. The America First Policy Institute, from which she hails, is a right-leaning think tank whose personnel have worked closely with Trump's campaign to help shape policy for his incoming administration. Rollins was formerly chair of the Domestic Policy Council during Trump's first term.
Center-left candidate Yamandu Orsi secured victory in Uruguay's presidential election on Sunday in a second-round race that pollsters always expected to be closely fought. With 99% of votes counted, Orsi had won nearly 50% and held a small but comfortable edge of just under 4 points over his rival, conservative Alvaro Delgado. On Sunday night, Orsi addressed thousands of his Broad Front supporters in the capital, Montevideo.
This must also be a country that walks towards development, towards prosperity, and I will also therefore be the president of national growth, the president of the country's growth, of a country that progresses, and I invite everyone to be part of this.
Both Delgado and Uruguay's president, fellow National Party member Luis Lacalle Pou, conceded the election. After official results were announced, they swiftly congratulated Orsi and offered to help with the transition. The victor has said he would avoid raising taxes that could scare off businesses and instead focus on attracting investors, spurring growth, and building a skilled workforce. The 57-year-old has also signaled closer cooperation with Europe on fighting drug trafficking and more funding for the prison system. Unlike sharp right-left divides in recent elections in Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico, Uruguay's political arena is relatively tension-free, with significant overlap between the conservative and liberal coalitions vying for office. Orsi has sought to reassure Uruguayans that he does not plan a sharp policy shift in the traditionally moderate and relatively wealthy nation.
Extremely disappointed.
Developing nations slammed a global climate financing deal as woefully insufficient, as delegates at the COP29 summit in Baku adopted a $300 billion annual target on Sunday to help them deal with impacts of climate change.
I regret to say that this document is nothing more than an optical illusion. This, in our opinion, will not address the enormity of the challenge we all face.
The agreement was clinched in overtime at the two-week conference in Azerbaijan's capital. It commits rich countries to providing $300 billion a year by 2035 in climate financing. That's a boost from the previous deal of $100 billion annually by 2020. That earlier goal was met 2 years late in 2022 and expires next year. United Nations climate chief Simon Steele hailed the agreement as one that would keep the clean energy boom growing and urged developed nations to keep their promises this time.
It has been a difficult journey, but we've delivered a deal. This new finance goal is an insurance policy for humanity, amid worsening climate impacts hitting every country. But like any insurance policy, it only works if premiums are paid in full and on time.
The summit cut to the heart of the debate over the financial responsibility of industrialized countries to compensate others for worsening damage from climate change after their historic use of fossil fuels caused the bulk of greenhouse gas emissions. It also laid bare divisions between developing nations reeling from costs of storms, floods and droughts, and wealthy governments facing tight domestic budgets and surging geopolitical tensions.
And yet we do feel that the result of today is actually exceptionally important. We are living in a time of truly challenging geopolitics, and we should simply not have the illusion that it will soon get better.
Negotiations had been due to finish on Friday, but ran into overtime as representatives from nearly 200 countries struggled to reach consensus. Some developing countries and island nations walked out briefly in frustration on Saturday. The final deal also failed to set out detailed steps for how countries will act on last year's climate summit pledge to transition away from fossil fuels and triple renewable energy capacity this decade.
Farmers in India are being blamed for the toxic smog choking New Delhi. Burning fields to clear stubble creates giant plumes of smoke that find their way to the capital and other parts of the country. It happens every year at the onset of winter, when farmers clear paddy fields to make way for planting wheat. But the growers say they shouldn't be blamed, as they have no alternative in the absence of government support. Jung Singh is a village head in Punjab state. He says small farmers can't afford alternative means, even though the burning is illegal. Though the government does subsidize machines that could clear the fields without fire, they remain unaffordable to most. There's also a long wait to rent the equipment. Besides the pollution, Punjab Farmers Union General Secretary Sarwan Singh says it's all a missed opportunity, with the stubble having potential uses, including energy generation. This month, Delhi has been battling air quality described as hazardous. Last week, pollution hit a peak of 494 on a scale to 500, prompting the government to limit vehicle movements and instruct schools to teach online.
I'm gathering my belongings and I'm looking over at our driveway and the water is coming up so fast. And I look at my boyfriend, I'm like, we have to get out of here, like right now. This time it just came up so fast, it didn't give us much time to help other people.
So this was record-setting rainfall totals for 3 days here in Sonoma County. That we have never seen this kind of thing in anybody's recorded experience, and certainly in my personal experience, this is by far the most rain in a short period of time that we've had.